right, we're on new business, our counseling program review.
Yeah, as part of our program evaluation of the guidance program, and also it's positioned at this time of year on purpose. It gives us an opportunity to say thank you to all of the counselors we have in the school district. We have a tremendous group. We're missing two tonight. Janelle Duncan from here at RTI-RTC, her son's got senior night tonight at Drury University. He's a basketball player there. And then Becky Snodgrass from junior high, I know she's helping with her father, I believe. So, but I know that their partners will fill in just fine. And Julie Peterman and Sarah Kalin lead the program. And we wish you the best as we celebrate National Counselors Week, and like you to give the board and the community an overview of the great things that you do to serve our children.
Okay, my name is Julie Peterman. I'm the counselor at Wyman Elementary. Some of you are new, you may not know me, but other of you probably know me way too well, but that's okay. Just be quiet. I know what you're thinking. So, every year, the school counselors like to come and present because we do a lot of wonderful things and we want to share that information with you. Sarah Kalin is going to help me present this, and she's at the high school. I'll let her introduce herself more when it's her turn to talk. I want to start out, my first slide is just a reminder of what I've got the clicker, don't I? And it works, yay. What we do as in our program is we try to align our daily duties with the Missouri Comprehensive Guidance. Actually, guidance is now crossed out, just counseling program, because that has been proven to enhance, I should say, student academic performance, mental health for students and their social emotional development, their achievement, career development, create the safe learning environments, and help with collaboration with all of these stakeholders with our children. And then we do have accountability, and that's what we like to share with you tonight, is how we are accountable. Some of you may be aware, but Missouri actually, as a state for counseling, is pretty well known throughout the nation for its processes and how the program is run. And so we're lucky to have that in our state. It gives us a lot of opportunities to meet with some professionals that can help us to be better at our jobs too. But that's just a little bit of information about that. The other part of it is that we look at our program components are four general areas. The first is our curriculum. Those are the social emotional skills we teach our students. We even work on academic skills such as study skills and how to help them to be successful in the school environment. And then, of course, career development. At each stage of their age and grade, it varies on what the students need, but that is probably, for most of us, the biggest thing we try to work on. Now, a lot of times we share this duty with other teachers and staff because as we are finding, social emotional especially is becoming a growing concern in our environment and something we've obviously always believed in, but now we're finding it's more support from others as well. Then individual student planning is that where you're actually working more with the students on what they need to be successful. You will find more of that at the high school level, obviously getting ready for after college or after high school and college, but even at the elementary level, you start doing that kind of thing. Responsive services is the area that probably most people know counselors for. That's the day-to-day student is having a problem, needs help, needs individual counseling. You need to do small group. A teacher calls and says, I need help now. You know, those kinds of things is what responsive services falls into. And of course, system support is what it actually takes to get our job done daily and how we support the school system. Because we're not a separate entity from the school system, obviously, we have to all work together. So the first thing, and I'm going to introduce our folks that are here as I go through this. This is our basic stat page of who is here. Nancy Cook is from Mark Twain, and she's going to do a little Vanna wave over there for us. And then she's at Mark Twain Elementary. You can see her stats up there. And then we have Rachelle Hauk from Truman Elementary. And then, as I mentioned, I'm from Wyman. And I'm going to let Sarah, actually, let me introduce Rolla Middle School. I'm sorry. We have Erin Bartle and Jarena Fleshman, and they are at the middle school level. Now I'm going to let Sarah jump in and continue on.
All right, at the junior high, we have Jeremy Jameson and Becky Snodgrass. Then here at the high school, we have 4 counselors. We have Roger Bridgman, Liz Pogue, Monica Lyle, and myself. And we take care of that. And then at RTI and RTC, they have 1 counselor, and that is Janelle Duncan, and she does a great job over there. So every couple of years, we are asked by the state to do what's called an internal improvement review. So we go through all of the different standards that the state has set forth in those areas that Julie talked about, and we talk about we rate our performance, and we do that on 2 levels. We do that as a district. When we come together for a CSD day, we sit down and we evaluate K-12. What do we have going on? How's it working? And then also within our buildings, we each conduct an IIR, the counseling staff, in conjunction with our administrators, to see how we're doing and how they think the counseling program is doing in terms of serving the needs of our students and staff. So from that, we have different sections. So the program foundation is a lot of things, and actually we've got IIRs. You guys can kind of see the one that we did at the district. So the program foundation is just the fundamental, the basic stats. You know, do you have a budget? Do you have counselors? What are your ratios? Those sort of things, and we give a rating on that. The system support are the things that we're doing behind the scene, like Julie said, the curriculum, the individual planning, the responsive services. And our complete IIR average score for percent of implementation was 94%, and we're quite pleased with that. We like that. Obviously, we're doing the absolute best we can for our kids on the daily basis. So this is our growth. In 2018, you can see the program foundation, we were rating at a 62%. So although that is our lowest in 2020, we've jumped quite considerably and put in some real work there, particularly in coming up with our our program manual. Sorry, I can think of the name of it for a second. So our program manual. So jumping from 62 to 83, we were pleased with that. Other major growth obviously came, well, we grew in every area, but also in the school counseling curriculum. We're making some real strides there as well. So out of the district IIR that we did, this is what we are going to hope to address this year. This was the one component on which we scored the lowest, and it says the program uses an evaluation plan based on the following indicators: counselor evaluation specific to school counselors. So that's part of our, and a growth plan that addresses that. That's part of what we are wanting to see across the district. Most of us, I would say, are evaluated on a teacher evaluation form. I know there is a counselor one out there somewhere, so our goal is to start having those conversations so that we can be evaluated. Because our job is so much different than a classroom teacher, we're wanting to be evaluated on what our program expects out of us, and I think that's going to be a relatively easy goal to achieve. The time task analysis. Julie's going to step back up here for a little bit of that.
So on the time task analysis, 3 weeks out of the year, so it's random data collection in some ways, but still planned, we tally what we do all day long to see where it fits into the 4 areas of curriculum, individual student planning, responsive services, and system support. That's our way of evaluating ourselves to make sure that we are following the program. And that's one of the things when she talks about changing the counselor evaluation, we'd like something like this to be part of our evaluation because we are already doing it, and it really shows if we're performing the services we should be performing. So each building does their own, and then we look at our data to see what we are actually doing on a daily basis. And we can see at Mark Twain where Nancy is, that she does quite a bit of curriculum, and then we can see where her other areas fit in to her time. So then Nancy, when she did her internal improvement review, she decided that it showed that she wanted to target more of working with student needs in the small group setting. She felt like her responsive services could improve, and so she is going to come up with a way to collect data to figure out which students for sure need to get the data, to get the students in the program that need to be there, and then of course data to show if it's working or not for her. And so that's what she plans to do to improve her program in the next year. She's very proud of her collaborative team over there at Mark Twain, as she mentions, it takes a village to raise a child. And we are so lucky that we have all these individuals that we can work together, including the school resource officers, and we have the school-based counselors now through Compass Health. And so all of those, it's wonderful to have all those resources to help our kiddos. And then at Truman with Rochelle, you can see where hers is. Her biggest area is responsive services, and that's not surprising. We talked about that in our meeting. Many of us, responsive services is our big one. I compare it to an emergency room, and you know, if a child comes to you and they're bleeding, you're going to go there first. You're not going to do the paperwork. You're not going to do, you know, you're not going to necessarily do the extra curriculum planning. You're going to go to that child first. And so the responsive services ends up to be an area that gets hit a lot, but we are seeing more children that are needing our one-on-one attention or some kind of group therapy to help them to be more successful. So Rochelle is really wanting to improve her advisory council at her level, and that includes, you know, like the Compass Health counselor, Dr. Welch. She would like to get a community member and a student, you know, to help her so that she can discover more of what Truman needs so that how she can help Truman and maybe get some more programs going in that regard. Her highlights for her is that she has a positive creative relationship with her principal and great communication, and she just feels like she's able to do many things to help Truman move forward, and they are working really hard to become a trauma-informed school, so that's something she's very proud of. And she's proud of her secretaries and everybody that makes it a warm environment. So as you can tell, counselors are not good at bragging about themselves. We brag about everybody else because that's just how we do things. Then in my building, responsive services is another high area too. I would like to see my curriculum a little bit more, but like I said, that's what happens whenever the kids are coming to you, and that's where you go first. My goal, because my responsive services is a higher area, I work with Compass Health. I even get interns from Missouri S&T, and I'm going to continue keeping those internships going because it is really wonderful. I have at least 3 other adults in the building this year that are helping me, not including the school-based counselor, and that is really helping so that more students are getting that one-on-one time, and it's nice to have other people come in that can either verify what you're thinking or to help you think a different way to maybe help these students. So I'm all for all the help I can get and help these kids. I'm proud of that we're working on our conscious discipline program even more, which is our social emotional learning curriculum. And this year, I'm working on what they call the time machine. It's not a real time machine, and even though the kids get real excited at first and then they're very disappointed until they figure out what it is, but that's okay. But it's a way to teach kids how to talk to one another when there is a conflict. So instead of going to the teacher or to the principal, they can have words and steps they take to solve the problem themselves. And I started with 3rd grade, and I was so excited when 3rd grade said, I want the time machine. And 2 guys who you never would expect went out in the hallway, took the time machine, and they solved their own problem. And it was wonderful because they're going to have to be adults that solve their own problems one day too. And our 3rd grade students have been helping teach the younger kids, and it's been a great to watch that happen and to see the leadership that even the 3rd graders can have. So very proud of that program. Then at the middle school, you can see that their responsive services, I know I keep harping on that, but that is our big one. We have a lot of kiddos with need, as you are aware. And at the middle school, they want to do some more with career exploration. They are hoping to find more readiness and avenues for their kids, the skills they need, and helping them find out what they want to do. I know it seems really early that we push it push it even at middle school, but as you know, by the time they get to high school, they're already getting into those programs of what they want to do. So middle school is not too early to be thinking about where their interests lie. And then they spend the majority of their time, as I said, with responsive services, meeting students' mental health and academic needs. And they do it individually, and they do a lot of small groups. They do a lot of great work at the middle school. Okay.
All right, so at the junior high, you can see again, 51% of their time responsive services, individual planning, all of those different components. And to the right, you can also see what is recommended by the state for those different percentages. It does vary from elementary to middle school to high school, so there are different expectations. At the junior high, their goal is going to be to review their curriculum by researching the market for new or updated offerings, particularly in the areas of suicide prevention or career exploration, which is good. I want to keep current on both of those issues, of course. Their highlights, they continue to have a high level of constructive interaction. They've got a great team there, and they work well with students, whether their needs are social, emotional, or academic, or physical, whatever their needs are. The junior high counseling team is working hard to meet those needs. So at the high school, you can see we're at 52% of responsive services there. We have system support. We've got the curriculum, individual planning as well. I spoke with, there was a counselor here years ago. Her name was Nancy Helton, and she retired. And she stopped by to see me one day at home, and she said, "So are things pretty much the same?" And I thought, gosh, no. From 15 years ago when I started counseling to now, the amount of responsive service time that we are spending is quite significant. So whereas before it was a lot more individual planning, we really are, especially at the secondary level, seeing a huge increase there as well. So our improvement plan, we recently have acquired the Naviance program, which is going to be college and career exploration and career development, the ability to do some the ICAP, the Academic and Career Planning Tool. So we'll be implementing that a little more solidly. Some of the highlights that we have are, we started this year, actually started it a little bit last year. This year it was really solidly in place that we have class meetings with each of the different grade levels, break it up over a week and get them through so that we can talk to them about things they should be doing. This year we also researched and created some reentry protocols for our students who are returning from particularly mental health hospitalizations, because we want to make sure that when they're coming back in, we know what to look for. At that point, they know what their triggers are. They can tell us what it looks like when they're in crisis or on the verge of crisis. And we also talk about who in the building they feel safe with, where we can go, and how we can best support them. We work with the parent, the student. The student gets to invite whichever teacher they would like, and we work together to make sure that that's a smooth transition back and that they feel well supported. We also have continued to improve the ability to utilize community resources. One of the big things for us has been the ability to text Grace when we need something. That has been fantastic, and we get immediate response. They're so good to us. The community is so supportive, and we do help kids in accessing all of those different things. You know, we have teenagers who move out of home and they need help accessing some of these things. So we're there to support them in every way that we possibly can. At RTI and RTC, you'll notice that her responsive services sliver is really small, and that's because her students that aren't adult students, the adult students obviously she serves in a different way, but her 9 through 12 students are mostly having their responsive services needs met in their home school. So that's part of that. Then she's got a lot of curriculum working and individual planning as well. She would like to develop a monthly calendar so that it can be shared, so that everyone can know where she's working and what she's working on. The highlights, she's worked hard this year with embedded credit, trying to get that solidly in place, to implement student portfolios for the seniors, to organize their career documents and help them be better prepared for the workplace, which is wonderful. They're also working to develop a new 1-hour work-based course titled Cooperative Career Education. So we'll look forward to how that can serve our students in the future. So here we have some school counseling links that we throw in there in case you ever want to know more. I know we talk long enough, but in case you ever want to know more, there's where you can go to get some of that additional information. All right. And then we are here to National School Counseling Week. We want to thank you for all that you do to support school counseling. We are not people, but a program, and we are very excited and enthusiastic about how we can implement the counseling program to best meet the needs of our kids and our community. And then we just wanted to say congratulations next week. We thank you guys for all that you do, not in just supporting us, but students in the future. And we've got some goodie bags for you in that corner.
We want to get a composite picture of you all down here in front of the Bulldog too. So
Okay.
we'll get that to our communications person, Gina. And
Do we have any questions? All right. Yeah.
I do have just one question, actually for Julie. On your internship with Missouri S&T, do you get quite a few students that?
I get a student every spring, pretty much anymore, from their psychology department. And they're coming in and working with students and finding out more about it, but I do get one about every year. And
Every year.
I had one that she became so much, she volunteered then the next year, and now she's becoming a counselor, and she's back in the system again, practicing, doing faculty work that way, so.
Now, does Missouri S&T, do they give them credit for this internship, or?
They get credit.
Okay.
She gets course credit for it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, she gets course credit.
Okay. And is there any other schools that would be interested in wanting to?
I think sometimes they go to high school if they have it,
mean,
we have a relationship with them,
get it
if they have
to
students that,
I've had one before in my
Have
office.
as well.
and if they're
Oh,
showing
great.
interest in it, then they go in that level, depending on what level they're interested.
Keeps bringing me.
Sounds like a wonderful
It
collaboration.
is, I enjoy that a lot.
Keeps giving it.
Kind of keeps me young to visit with those college students and,
Yeah.
and
It's
you know,
a self-care
We have one for Mr. Helping.
Yeah.
Hey, those are great.
feels like.
Hey, I've got a quick question. So you guys mentioned more and more of your resources are being directed towards responsive time. You think that's because there's more problems or there's better awareness now? What do you think?
I think it's a combination of both. I feel like it is a little bit, that we're seeing it more, but I think, I do agree that part of it is that there's a lot more awareness out there, and it's becoming less stigmatized. So, for example, we have a lot of students who will come in, and it may not be for themselves. They may come in and say, hey, I think my friend's depressed. Hey, my friend's got this issue going on, and helping us. And parents are great, too, to kind of keep us in the loop for issues that their students are dealing with mental health-wise, so that we can help support them in the school as well. So.
I know some,
I was gonna say, we're also seeing some family changes too, because we see a lot more grandparents who are raising children. That brings some new challenges for them.
I'll just, go.
No, you go ahead, I'm sorry.
I know some of you have some groups. I just kind of wondered what all groups are out there for our different levels.
At the
Group counseling.
At the high school, unfortunately, we only have a grief group going at this time. We would like to be able to expand that. We just don't have the time at this point. I know at the junior high, you guys have.
At the middle school, we have a very large grief group. We pass to the junior high and high school. I also do a incarcerated group with Camp David curriculum. And then I have 2 separate social skills groups. And sometimes I'll do a group for kiddos who, if the need presents itself, who have parents that are divorced.
And I'm doing an anger management group, and one of my interns is actually doing for children with attention deficit issues, that helping them control those and come up with skills for those as well. And then friendship, in my level, they're called friendships groups. They're basically social skills, but it's teaching them how to get along with other children, that kind of thing, so.
Becky Whitesacker comes in from
The partnership.
the partnership, and she does friendship circles at the middle school as well. Prevention consultants, we're utilizing them a lot as well in our schools to help with some curriculum.
Have you reached out to Compass Health? I know they also have educational offerings.
Yes,
too.
and we work with our school-based mental health specialists. Our school-based therapists are really good to help us access those and keep us in the loop with what they're doing. There is some interest in them helping to maybe facilitate some groups with us as a part of their job there. So we're working towards that as well. Also, on that note, I'll tell you that at the high school, we started with a school-based therapist 1 day a week, and our need grew so rapidly that we're piecemealed together. We have 3 different school-based therapists that are coming in, but we're up to 5 days worth of full caseload for those people. So I'm so thankful that we have that to access for our kids, especially those that have transportation issues. So that's great.
And your students are actually asking for it on their own.
Oh,
Which
absolutely.
is even more wonderful because they're realizing, and like you say, the stigmatism is going away, and they're seeking that help themselves, and that's just wonderful.
Yeah, that's great. All right, thank you guys very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Julie's anger management group's particularly comforting to know this winter when we're dealing with the National Weather Service that you're just one phone call away.
We meet on Thursday and Friday at 2 o'clock. You are welcome to join us.
Unless school's not.
Unless school's not, well, that has been a problem.
Quick.
Okay, yeah, bring us down.
Children get together and the elementaries get together, they can.
You know, good. Do it together like you do.
I'll die.
You don't need to.
Yeah, you guys are gonna have to get a lot closer.
We don't want to, turn your shoulder. Are they centered?
I'm getting ready to take it, so you better have your best foot forward. Not literally. Okay?
Thank you, guys.